Hello esteemed learners. Good. Hello esteemed learners. Welcome to SWAM online lecture series on the topic database management system. Myself Muhammad Abdullah Bukhari, working as a professor in the Department of Computer Science, Aligarh Muslim University, Aligarh. I am pleased to have you join me today as we explore the fascinating realm of database and database management system. In the few next minute, we'll discuss today about a mini project to client information system. The agenda of today's lecture is we have to create a mini project on client information system using SQL Server. What will be the structure of the project? The structure project, first of all, you have to create a database client information system. Then the front end will be HTML, CSS and JavaScript, and we'll use the programming language Python. You can use any programming language depending on the requirement. Here I have used programming language Python. And the table you have to create, here the table name is the client you have to create. So this is the structure of the project. In the project, first of all, you have created a database name is client info system, and then you have to, the front end I will use HTML, CSS and JavaScript, and the programming language we have used Python, and the table is client. Then I will explain the client table. In the client table contain about 6 attributes, fields, you can say attributes. About the client number is the primary key, you can see on the screen, and the client name, email, phone number, the address and the industry. This is the structure of the client. Then we have the schema view of a client table. So here we have to make an interface, user interface schema and the database schema. User interface schema you have to develop, and then database schema. So user interface schema of client record, it means by interface, and the form will be generated like client number, client name, email, phone number, address, industry, and then when you will be submit the button, press that, it will be stored. So here we have to use for the interface schema, and the database, by that you have to use by SQL statement, by the create command, create a structure, and then that, and show the schema of client inside database using describe command. It means first of all you have to by using MySQL command, already I have discussed in the previous lecture, you have to create a structure about all the fields, create client number, client name, email, phone number, industry and the address. The data types all are workers. So you have to create, and then how you will see by describe command. When you, in MySQL you write describe or DESC client, you are able to see like on a screen, field type, null, key. Here the primary key, client number is the primary key, so PRI and the default, and 6 rows you can see on the screen. In this way we have to make a schema for client inside database. The project commands, there are 2 types of commands, is the data definition language DDL and data modification language data DML. So there are the 2 commands we have used, DDL and DML. Then we have to experiment setup will be, it means we have to know this thing, what is the Python, which programming you want to use, whatever you can say Java, but here I have used the Python. For developing a mini project, at that time you have to know the Python and then MySQL.connector. You have to know the MySQL connector also. Then the error handling in Java, in Python, error handling also in MySQL also, you know, the error handling in exception handling in MySQL. Here in Python the error are there, errors, by that we are able to handle the error. Then Flask and then request is also, you can say functions are request. The next is Yosemite. So these are, we have to know about that. Then we start one by one. What is Python? On the Python is an interpreted, object-oriented and high-level programming language with dynamic semantic. Its high-level built-in data structures combined with dynamic typing and dynamic binding. It makes it very attractive for rapid application development as well as for use a scripting or glue language for connect exciting component together. By that, in Python we can combine all the exciting components. In other words, we can say that Python is a easy to learn, syntax emphasizes readability and therefore reduce the cost of program maintenance. So these days Python are very useful for the front end. So if you are designing a database, you can say mini project, there is so many front end and the back end. In the back end, I will use the MySQL, and the front end, the Python. So Python. So next is the what is MySQL.connector is also important. This is a Python model that provides a connection interface to MySQL database. It allows Python program to communicate with MySQL server, execute SQL queries, and manage database operation such as insert, update, and delete. It means by MySQL connector, we are able to update, insert, and the delete operation on your mini projects. So for that, in the front end, in the back end, SQL queries will be solved. So MySQL connector are also useful, provide the connection interface to MySQL database. And then what is error? Error is a class provided by the MySQL connector models, especially for handling errors and may occur during database operations. In MySQL, you have used exception handling. So it is also a class by MySQL.connector. By importing error, you can catch and handle exceptions that are raised when there are issues with database connections, queries, and other operations. This helps in gracefully managing errors and providing appropriate feedback or handling in your application. So by that we are able to catch and handle exceptions. Next is what is Flask? Flask is lightweighted application framework. It is a framework for that. In the Python, the Flask is you can say it is a framework. Within that we have to develop a front end and the back end MySQL. It allows developer to build web applications quickly and easily by providing tools and libraries for handling HTTP requests, routing and templating and more. By importing Flask, you can create a Flask applications instance that server of your web applications. It means Flask is a framework for the Python. For that you have to use. Within that you can call are different subroutines, we're going to say functions. The next is what is request. This request is model provided by Flask by handling HTTP request in web applications. So here in the front end we have used HTML, CSS and the Python. For that, a request is used in web applications. It provides functions and attributes for accessing data from incoming requests such as form data, query parameters, headers and the files. By importing request, we can work with the data sent by the client in HTTP request and use it to process a response to request appropriately within your Flask application. It means that by the request you are able to retrieve informations. Then what is JSONify? So JSONify is a function, is also a function provided by the Flask for creating JSON responses in the web applications. Java scripting like that. It takes Python data structures such as dictionaries and the list. Dictionaries is a two-dimensional, list is an array like that, and convert them into JSON formatted strings. It will convert into strings that can be sent as a responses to HTTP requests. By importing JSONify, you can easily generate JSON responses from your Flask routes or views, making it convenient to build application programming interfaces or web services that communicate with client using JSON data. I hope you are able to aware about the JSONify, Flask. The next topic we will discuss about the connection of the client table and client interface. We have to develop a client interface with client tables. So in that connections you have to develop two things. First is front end. In the front end, here I am using a Python. You can use any other for the designing of any project. You can use any programming language, but here I have used in the front end Python and the back end SQL Server. Then the connections setup you have to make. In that, in the screen you can see you have to do import mysql.connector. It means you have to import mysql.connector from mysql.connector. Import also you have to import the error. It means error handling. And from Flask, import Flask. So from you can say framework, you have to use Flask is also function. You have to import Flask, request and JSONify. Application is equal to Flask within the bracket underscore name underscore bracket will be closed. In this way we can import for all that. Then def create connections. You have to create connection within bracket. You have to write host name, user's name, user's password and database. Here you have to fourth thing you have to enter: host name, user's name, user's password and database name, and then connection is here is the none. Then try connection is equal to mysql.connector.connect. The host is equal to host name you have to write. Then user is equal to user's name. Then the password, user's password you have to enter. Then database is equal to database name. Then this must be closed. Then you have to have print connection to MySQL database successfully. In this way, we are able to, it will print a connection to MySQL database successful. if error will come, except error will show as E, print within parenthesis F, within quote you have to write the error, within curly bracket you have to write E, it means the error will come, it will display here and occurred, that should be in double quote. It means error will become. Otherwise, connection of MySQL database it will display successful, otherwise error will come. Then return connections. Then you have to define the execute underscore query within bracket connection, comma query, comma data, and data is equal to none. Then the cursor is equal to connection dot cursor. It means you have to generate the loop. For the cursor, you have to connect the cursor. Then you have to also write a try if data cursor comma execute within bracket query and data, else cursor dot execute query. If data and query will enter, then it will be go the loop till connection committed, and then it will print query executed successfully. In this way, it will display the query successfully. Otherwise, accept error as E. It will catch the error. The print F within double quote you have to write error, within curly bracket and single quote you have to write E. It means the error will display here and occurred. In this way, the query will be executed and then occurred. Here is the, you have to establish the connections. Then @application.root submit form method, I have used here the post. Okay, you have to in the post and the submit form, when you will submit the form, it will go that. So these are about, here I have developed connections, how you will develop a connection from the interactive forms and by using form. And here I have, till now I have discussed about, you have to in the front end Python and the back end I have used MySQL. In this process we are able to make connections. In the next session we will discuss about how you insert client data through interface. Here I have developed, I have already explained about the how to insert data, how to design by interface, by form or by SQL statements. So in the next session I will discuss how you enter a client data through interface and modification of the client data. If you want to modify some data through interface, you are able to modify. If you want to update the client data through interface, you are able to update. And fetching of client data through interface, we are able to fetch. In the next session we will discuss. In our exploration, I have navigated the intricate world of mini project design, about the front end and the back end in detail. I hope you enjoyed this explorations. I hope to see you soon in the next lecture. Thank you.